Howdy, we are fixing to go live for the CPC exam review. I have some new information for everybody too. Let's get some more light on in the room. We're going to be working on the CPC exam review. Hey Cassie, how's it going? I have some new information, lots of new information. Gosh, I'm going to be rattling on today for sure. Lots of information for you guys today for the CPC exam. Tons. I've got people taking the exam all weekend, some online, some in person, and they're letting me know what was on their exams during the CPC exam. So I'm just flooded with information. Coming up with some new troubleshooting ideas too that go along with the CPC exam. Yeah, me too, Cassie. That's heartbreaking. So heartbreaking by one question. But you're so close. You're going to get there. Hi, Pril. Hey, Gabby. Yeah, the online does come with its own challenges too, so be prepared for somebody out of the country to be proctoring your exam, which is no big deal. Just going to need to be able to listen to a different dialect and follow instructions, which can be a little challenging, especially over the internet. Here are her instructions that came from AAPC this morning about the webcam and some other things that were going on. Hey, Kimberly. So I just have some instructions here for the online AAPC CPC exam. Just from the proctor's point of view. Hey Jess, how's it going? If you do get an exemption for an ADA, any medical condition that you can have for getting extra time, you can have 30 minutes to sit for each part of your exam. So an hour in total added to your total exam time. If you take it online, that also qualifies. You can also have potty breaks for your online exam if you wanted to through an ADA. All you do is call AAPC Monday morning and let them know you want the application for an ADA. You send them some sort of medical record on letterhead of some sort that says, please allow so-and-so to have extra time due to medical conditions. You know, anything can be created in Word document nowadays, so don't worry about that. But you can have any kind of condition from, you know, irritable bowel, stress, to anxiety, to frequent uresis, I don't know, caffeine intolerance, I have no idea, but just any little thing. And then the AAPC will send you a letter back approving you and saying that the conditions that you're going to have, which means 30 minutes, whatever, per test if you're taking it online. And the proctor will want to see that letter. They'll want to see the one just from AAPC that gives you approval. And it also says what conditions you have. Not only do you have extra time, but that you can go to the bathroom, which I would be in there Googling. I had to write me down like 3 things on that whiteboard that And once I got the 3 things that I didn't know, I'd be dashing off to that bathroom and Googling something really quick. But, you know, that's just me. But something, anything to get some of these answers right really, really quick. I don't know how long it takes them to get back to you. I wish I knew, Casey. I can ask Andrea tomorrow to see how long it took her to get her reply back. I assume it wouldn't be long. You just need that letter the day that you do your test because the proctor's going to want to see it. They won't have it in advance. And it just needs to say that you get to go to the bathroom frequently or during the exam so that he will or she will allow you to do it. And shoot, I'd have me a device in there that had no sound on it whatsoever. It wouldn't click, you know, just in case something transmits through the house. And I'd be in there Googling. Oh, Lord. But I wouldn't want to do it too often. You know, maybe once during the online exam per section, just so I don't waste too much time, because that could be a real time waster. Now, if you do have the ADA, you do get extra 30 minutes. Andrea took hers today. She did have the ADA. She used all of her time except for one. She got done 5 minutes early. So, and that was without a potty break that she could have used. So, you know, the test is still intense. It's still 2 minutes per question. You still are fighting for your life to swim through all these questions and answer them accurately. So it is an issue, of course, because you don't have very long to answer the questions. But shoot, I'd utilize at least one potty break if I could get me an ADA, and I'd be in there Googling 3 quick things, super quick. But that's just me. I'm a terrible person. I would use it to my advantage somehow or another. Oh, I try at least. Some of the other things that they had to say about the online exam was to make sure that you use, she had got on with the proctor, shook out the books in front, and all they want you to do with your books is you'll just, I'm going to turn the camera up here just a little bit if I can. Can you see this? They're going to have you shake it like this. You hold it by the spine and you shake it, and then you just thumb through it. And they're just going to be looking for extra pages. They don't care what you have written on them, but that's all you're going to do. And then she did that, and then she says, okay, before we get started, let me go to the bathroom. But she had already done the 360 tour of the room that she was in with her webcam. So when she got back from the bathroom, he said, okay, we got to repeat the 360 again because you left the area. So I'm assuming if you do a potty break, maybe they'll want to do a 360 again. That's just where you move the camera around the room so they can see. Make sure you're not having anybody sitting behind you or something. But then the camera goes kind of towards your, it should be positioned on your ear, facing your face, but also looking down at your computer screen, and then your keyboard and your table of books is the position. But these were the conditions that they had in just a junk email that they sent her, but she was obviously allowed to go to the bathroom. They are going to make you do a Control-Alt-Delete, so they bring up the background programs to make sure you have all those closed. And you can only have this year or last year's books. So that's something new that is not on the proctor's instructions, because the proctor's instructions do list AMA manuals or CPT manuals or hip picks, but they don't specifically say a year in particular. So that was interesting to see that we do definitely need to have at least those 2 years. And that was the rest of her instructions that she got. And she'll take Part B tomorrow. She did a run this morning before her exam, which was like at 11. So that helped with her anxiety some, just getting out some energy. She wanted to make sure that people knew to go on and she does not know. She could not tell which exam she had. And I don't know if that's just an online thing that you may not get to see what version you have of it. But I believe the proctor sees that information probably before he issues it out to you. I have no idea. She looked, but you're getting instructions from this, that, and the other. Click here, go here, and she just could not find and did not recognize where the spot may have been where that information was. But she did save some information for us. So thanks for the share. That helps gets it out here for us. The other thing besides she did do the run that morning, she thought of another troubleshooting idea. So let's say you have a CPT question, you know, with a bunch of CPT codes listed. She ended up looking up the key term for that procedure in the back of the book and just looked to which CPT code was associated with that particular procedure, and she made her decision based off of what this index said. So I don't know if it's accurate. I haven't audited this way of doing it, but it's very interesting. I mean, if you're only doing an elbow and it is an elbow, you've got the one code listed right there for it. So pick out the answer with that in it and move on. I don't see why it wouldn't work. I don't know. Like I said, I haven't audited it, but I thought it was a great troubleshooting idea and maybe a time-saving one. So that is a suggestion from her. Do I recommend taking both sections at one sitting? Heck no. If you can take a break and walk away and from the first test, realize what information you might be missing or want to look up before you take the second part. She did pretty much E&M, ICD10, and the book all the way to digestion this morning. So she knows tomorrow she's going to have male and female circumcisions, OB, radiology, lab and path tomorrow. So she knew exactly what she needed to study for the second part, and she has time between 2 o'clock this afternoon till 11 o'clock tomorrow to work on those. And realize she forgot about the back cover and she ran into an anagram that she didn't know, abbreviation. IVA, I think, or IVC, something like that, and she guessed, and she ended up getting it wrong, we think, because she didn't realize it was part of the vascular system. So, part of the vena cava, and she forgot about the back cover. So now she'll know for tomorrow if she has any abbreviations where to run to look for those really quick. Also, in one of my previous lives, somebody asked me about Appendix L and would it be important for the CPC exam, and I said no, because it is a more in-depth coding area for a lot of specialty stuff for coding in cardiovascular, and I didn't think it would be that important for the CPC exam if you could code the CPT codes, which are back there. But actually, one of the anatomy questions was first, second, or third order of a certain vascular system. She doesn't know if it was this, the arterial, or the vascular, or the venous families. But there's these first 3 pages of Appendix L where there's a word. She did a word search. Her word search led her to the second order, and that's what she picked because she did a word search and found the word here, but she just wasn't prepared for being able to be back here and knowing that she was going to need to do a word search for a particular vascular order. So first, second, and third. We don't know if it was arterial or venous, but it was one of these, and she just simply did a word search for the word and picked the order. So hopefully you will Thank you for that suggestion. It would be know all the modifiers by heart. No, you don't need to know your modifiers by heart, and I do have some practice examples for that tonight that we're going to go over. So modifiers you don't need to know by heart. You need to know what they mean, though. You need to be sure and know the differences in them. I have a little cheat sheet that I put at that big spot at the back of E&M section because it's red. So I like to look and go straight to here. And I have 2-word descriptors of them so I can thumb to that and know right away which is which. The ones that they love to use, of course, is professional component, distinct procedures, multiple procedures. In the back, I don't have these cheat sheeted on there, but they do love to use the unrelated procedures, unplanned procedures, and repeat procedures. For sure, on the exam, just knowing them, once you run to them and figure out exactly which one they're talking about and what it means, you should know the differences just by at least being able to go look at that first 2 or 3 words, and then you know how to bill those is what you're supposed to know. So I know, like on, let's see, like modifier, let me go back to Appendix A because it has more of them listed here. $25 is a significant, separate, identifiable E&M service. So let's say a patient comes in for a well child exam, but on the way to the doctor they slam their fingers in the door. So the parent wants them seen for that too. So yeah, they're going to be seen for their 99 code for a well visit based off age. They're also going to get like a 99212 or a 213, depending on how in depth, if they need sutures or something for some head injury or something, whatever. I mean, I've hit my child's head on the car frame as you're putting them in the car seat. Everybody's done that, you know. You're in, but the kid isn't in, and you pull a kid in, and then their head is higher than yours because they're up on your hip. Yeah, everybody's done that. So it depends on the injury, but they might end up with a 99213 or a 99212. So you would give them both E&M codes and then attach a 25 to it. Now, for the 59, distinct procedures almost sounds like the same thing, but if you're doing like a lesion and a punch biopsy or a shave, multiple shave biopsies, but then you put down that shave instrument, pick up a punch biopsy, you've done 2 distinct procedures with 2 different ways of gathering the material. You've got 2 ways to stop the bleeding, if any, with both of those procedures. They're distinct procedure differences. And then you have staged or return procedures, you know, or they going to need to come back for another procedure related to the first procedure. So you do definitely need to know what they mean. Once you get there to the number and you look at the word, you don't need to have to be able to, you're not going to have time to read all this to learn what the modifier means. During the exam, you need to be able to just look at the number back here, read the first couple of words, and then you know how to code it because you've already practiced them. So at least that. You don't have to have it all memorized, but once you see the number in the first couple of words, you need to be able to do that for sure. And especially having examples in your book like I do with modifiers listed will definitely help during your exam, because especially in the integumentary system, they're going to have a lot of multiple procedures. Some are times two, some will have modifiers in them, and having those examples written out, whether to use modifiers or not, will help. Also, don't forget about your parenthetical notes, because a lot of the CPT codes will mention in the parenthetical note whether to use a modifier or not. So that will help you too, but the book is not consistent on that matter. And it's a saving grace when they do have it in there, but a lot of times they don't have it consistently throughout all of them. But I mark those in blue when I do find an option that says when to use the modifiers, so that it's there and lit up with an example. Absolutely, for sure. So we've got another example of 78 with another modifier denoting which side they were working on too. So the examples work really well. Let me check up with messages here. I've thought about doing this for a while. Is it stressful? Well, everything in life is stressful, of course. But once you get a job, you know, it's no more stressful than I've worked everywhere from McDonald's to retail to factories to medical floors doing OB and radiology. I've run labs, to running clinics, to work in administration in medical groups, and every job has its own stress. This one is more likely to run into and become or start out being remote, where you work from home. If you are independent and don't need a lot of supervision and can get work done in an organized fashion, and are good at troubleshooting issues, and you don't need to call constantly saying you're having issues with the internet, or you don't know how to work their EHR. If you can click and not be afraid of things and move through systems independently, and know how to Google or YouTube something if you don't know what it is or how to do it, then you'll do great in anything coding or medical remote work. You just not need to be pretty independent, not too needy, and figure it out and just be organized and get your work done, then you'll be great. Lots of opportunities to be able to work remotely from home, which is a lot less stressful than working under somebody, or in a drive-through situation or retail situation with customers, or even OB and delivery was pretty independent. You run the halls and you had your patients, and you were going from performing orders to passing out meds to dealing with whatever was going on, catching the babies. You're pretty independent. So as long as you're an independent person, you're great at this, for sure. I had to have my appendix removed. It wouldn't fit in the binder. Oh, your modifiers, you had to have all the appendices removed. Oh no. Oh no, oh no. Okay, well, you need to do what I did for the Appendix A for sure. There is a list of modifiers in the front cover of this book that will see you through. And then also HCPCS book has every modifier listed on the front cover and on the back cover. So modifiers, you'll be okay. The only thing you should get is that vascular, the Appendix L. you should, and I'm sure there are a million things online that would copy this and mirror the first order, second order of the vascular families in Appendix L. There should be some sort of list, and I would find a blank space of some sort in cardiology and write out your first order, second order, and third order arterially versus venously. So you have space underneath musculoskeletal right before cardiology starts would be a good suggested place. And then they do have some extra areas here, but maybe right in here, start here first, second, and then do your third, but you need to be neat and do like arterial in red and then do venous in blue maybe. So you still need first, second, and third order for arterial. You'll need first, second, and third order in venous. So you're going to need some space, but there's also this whole page. I have nothing that was really important there besides my J codes, and then I have a way to code cardiology based off MDM and then based off time here. But this whole page here on 240 would be a really good place to replace this, and I bet you could find the orders in a more organized fashion somewhere online to add there. So get that in there. But your HCPCS book has all the modifiers listed. Hopefully you're taking that to your exam. If I can find mine. I got books and books and books and books, y'all. It is crazy over here with how many books I have. Here's the HCPCS. So your HCPCS book has lots of modifiers, lots more modifiers, of course, and then the back cover has more modifiers, and then inside and out cover. All of them are listed there, so you'll be okay without Appendix A. Just be sure you know how to code them once you find out which one you're working with. You finish checking, and if you want a copy of my notes, you know the link is in bio. There's also a coupon. If you click on that, it takes 20% off of whatever that is, just in case you wanted page by page of what the books say. Y'all, I'm going crazy with the 2022 versions of these books. Show y'all an example if you have time here. You know these E&M codes? This book is 2020. We got an old one right here. Oh. Nope, I don't need that one. That's 20. 2020. That's ICD9, ICD10, ICD10. Where is... This is the new version for 2022. But the E&M for 99202, that is what you get. The rest of this is just all the garbage where they wrote up a bunch of stuff on it in other books somewhere else. But that's what you get about 99202 is an appropriate history, an appropriate exam, and that's how much time. And the MDM is straightforward. That's all you get. If we go back to last year's book, y'all know what you get. Oh. Well, current yearbook, sort of, kind of. our current yearbook says on 99202 says that information, which has still been downgraded from what was in there from 2020 version. The 2020 version told us requires 3 key elements. Some of them were only requiring this is 3 elements. This one is requiring 3 elements. This one was requiring 2 elements, right? Well, they took all that information out last year. They took it out of even 2022 version. So they're never putting that back in. But to find that information, you have to have the 2020 version of the book to find that information, which is very frustrating for everybody, I'm sure. I am making notes for the 2022 version, and I had to go back and find my 2020 version of the books to be able to put that information in on the notes, which is crazy insane. Where? Here we go. My notes for this year. I just simply wrote out each code, put down detailed history, detailed exam, low MDM, put in the time, and then 3 of 3 if it was, or 2 of 3, just so you'd have that information. But to find it, I had to go back to books that were so many years away, and then I'm putting in examples on either side how to code them, and then I'll throw in modifiers and all that good stuff. But just to write up this darn book for 2022 CPT books for E&M has been challenging. Let me tell you, it's crazy how far you have to go back to just to get the basic information that you need for your particular coding year. Anyway, let me bring up my Word document that I've got the notes down for Exam A that we went over the last live, which is on YouTube. But I've got added information from 2 people that took exams yesterday and today who sent their information in to let me know what they saw on their exams so that I could share it with you guys. And if you are taking an exam anytime soon and you can remember anything, even if it's just while you're in there, if it's a difference between this code and that code, you just circle the codes and you can later go back and tell us what you saw. What she did, the one that took it online today, the questions that she ran into that were difficult, she wasn't prepared for, she wrote them on the whiteboard so that she could copy that later into an email to me and then let me know what she had difficulty on. And, you know, it was a dozen things that it won't help her now that I showed her where to find the information, unless she has to retake the test, and I hope she doesn't. But it's going to help you guys. So she wanted to share that information so that she could make a difference and help out. But these is part of what was on Exam A. I've already discussed it in a previous live, so I'm going to go really fast. The sigmoid bone, what Medicare Part A covers, which is the nursing facility. What venous valves are. It's part of the musculoskeletal system. It lets your bones move back and forth. What a thromboembolus is right there. Some inflammation. We've got sepsis. You better know how to code those. There is coding is separated in sepsis by 2 sections. sepsis without organ failure or with organ failure. Then when you got with organ failure or dysfunction, you're going to end up with 2 diagnosis codes or up to 3. So just a regular sepsis will only require 1 diagnosis code. Be sure you know what ARDS stands for, what an ABN stands for. Andrea today had that particular bone on her exam. She doesn't know if she got test A or B, or C, but it was on her exam. Triplet delivery, be sure you know about the 7th characters on the triple delivery, and because there is multiple fetuses, you do have an additional diagnosis code that will go in there too. Be sure you know that. How to code guidelines on an injury versus HIV, and I'll go on to say, what about an injury on an OB patient? What do you code first? You're always going to code the injury or the reason why they're being seen first. Yes, you're going to code their OB and their HIV, but it will be secondary because it's not related to the current issue that they're being seen for in the ER. Here's some more information. Whether they have symptoms or no symptoms, what are you going to code first? The metastasized question was about a patient who had a primary cancer and a secondary cancer, then ended up with another cancer. Which one do you code for? That was the finding on the x-ray for that visit, was the 3rd manifestation that they just found out. Be sure you know how to do those. Glucose monitoring. Rental was their HCPCS code that they had taken. This lady has CPT exam B-F. I'm assuming every B version has different versions. Every A versions has a different version. So this one happens to be B, but it is version F of B, which could lead us to a whole rabbit hole full of how many versions do they have. But she wanted to email me, and this is the new information that I haven't shared with y'all. She just found me and wanted to note what she found, and she keeps referring to the study guide as to what and where the information is based on what was in her exam. So she went through the AAPC study guide and picked out the information, and this is what it looks like. It's the AAPC study guide. Any version will do. They don't update it, so very rarely do they update it. But she went through here and used it as a guideline to tell her what she remembered from her exam. She noted there was urethral blockage. It is in the study guide somewhere. I haven't found it yet. I got to keep looking, but I'm still looking for exactly what she's talking about. But we need to be sure and know how to code or know the definitions of a urethral blockage. Let me fix my table before it falls. We've got split thickness graphs and full thickness graphs. Know the scenarios of those in coding. She's got CKD with stage 3 and hypertension questions. Know the scenarios of those modifiers. 22, 52, 53, and 59. An incomplete uterine prolapse question. Which cells produce hormones that regulate blood sugar? And it's in the study book. We've worked on this one last night. It's called glucagon. It's a hormone that you produce. What chemicals and which relay and amplify and modify signals between neurons and other cells? It's in our study guide. I have not researched that one yet. The OIG documents. Should a provider renew for potential problems in areas? How often do you redo your OIG work plan? is probably what that question is about, and that's yearly. Urine is transported from the kidneys to the urinary bladder by which stricture? What object does that? According to the CPT guide, what code do you not code with 0053? So just a quick look in our CPT book would find that out, because it'll be listed in the parenthetical notes. Let me check up on messages real quick while y'all read some more of this that I've got here. Thank you for the follow, Miss Proud Grandma. Thanks for doing this. Oh, you're welcome. You will be starting your class soon. Oh boy, classes are pretty difficult. I don't know a lot of people that teach a lot of things that I teach that are exact to the point of passing the CPC exam, is what I specialize in. Your coding course will teach you how to code, which will give you a little heads up on the job when you start working, but everything you learn in a coding course will not truly beneficial and help you for passing the CPC exam. This is a totally different thing, since you're not going to be coding for the exam. And once you start working in a facility, any facility, they're going to have their own policies and procedures on whether the coding is done one way or another based off contracts to other entities, which will affect your coding. So you will learn on the job for that. So don't stress too much about learning every little fine detail that they're going to throw at you, because they're going to throw a lot at you at one time. They're going to give you a lot of busy work to make you think like you're paying and getting enough information to cover the cost of what you paid for. But most people will run out of those feeling overworked and frustrated and can't remember anything that they learned in it, because the courses were just geared that way. So don't stress too much. Relax is my advice through that course, and keep watching here, because you will learn exactly what you need to know to pass the CPC exam, which you need to know, because you can take a million courses and it still will not prepare you for this exam. It's a bear. It's a bear, and there's no coding. You're welcome. Miss Allergic is back. Good to see you. Do you know what the pay range is? I'm in Texas. No, I don't. I think they have a thing for AAPC on their website. Tells you regionally what you get paid. So this is medical coding or billing or CPT codes. User 00 or 033. This is to pass a coding certification exam, which is recognized nationally throughout the United States. If you go onto any job seeking app and you want to work from home remotely doing medical coding or billing or HEDIS, anything medical, they're all going to ask for a CPC or a CCA. And this is for specifically the CPC, but I do help with the CCA and the CCS, which is a HEMA. There's two entities which certify for medical coding. I do have the AAPC CPB billing course, but I don't specialize in that yet. I do have the course, so if there's any billing questions, I can help out, but I like to make sure that everybody passes their coding course for the CPC AAPC, which I'm a member of. And I was tired of seeing people pay $3,000 for a course and get out of it and not have any clue on how to pass their certification exam, which will define your career. Most people just never pass it and they give up, or they get disheartened And I was tired of seeing people suffer, especially during COVID, not to pass it. So I've got some tips and tricks and exactly how to pass the exam without it. So this is just for, it's not just CPT, it's HCPCS, ICD10. It's everything you need in your compliance and guidelines for being a medical coder. Not a biller, but a medical coder. So there's a difference. You're late. You're late. You're not late. You're not late. I'm always late. Don't worry about that, Miss Coupon Cutie. And I'll post this live immediately afterwards on YouTube because Andrea, who shared some of this information today, is taking part 2 tomorrow, but she gets up early and does her run, and then she's going to read and listen to this live too. It was B2. I'm sorry for the typo. Oh, Miss Libra shared this information. I thought it was F, but she got B2. Okay, well, I'll change it somewhere in here, wherever I put her. Oh, it's down here. B2. Okay. So I know she was probably excited when she was typing it all up. It's exciting to get all the information down really quick. My questions come from AAPC. I buy their practice exams, and also from previous year certification exams once they have grandfathered them and they're no longer copyrighted. I get those older exams from them too. Yes. Should you take a course? No. What you should do is just get a study guide. Any year will be just fine from AAPC. You can even get them from Etsy, from McCary, eBay, Amazon, anybody that's selling an old year version, it doesn't matter what year, and study every word in this book. Every word. This will be just as beneficial as any other course will ever be. It's from AAPC. It does have practice exam questions in it. And then you follow along, prep your CPT book to prepare you for the CPC exam. You do some practice quizzes, which I have, and you take your test. I don't think you should take a course. I think this official guide is wonderful and has more than enough information that you can learn in it. It's fine. That's all you need. AAPC told me that you can only take the online exam on the weekdays. No, she's taking hers on the weekend, Miss Vaughn. That's not true. I don't know why they told you that, but no, she took hers half on Saturday and half on Sunday. They do not close those online proctors. Examity controls the exam, not AAPC. They do a contract with Examity to issue out those exams. So you won't be taking it on the AAPC website. You'll be going through Blackboard and then going through Examity. And Examity issues those exams 5 days a week. Now, if you're taking the exam in person, you might get a different answer depending on your group, your local group. But no, they give them out every day of the week. Do you recommend medical coding to someone not previously in the medical field? Yeah, if you want to learn, you can learn, absolutely. And we all have some sort of medical background. We've all been to the doctor's office. We've all taken our kids to the doctor's office, our parents. We've all been there, done that. You know how the routine is. You need to be able to apply what you know in real life to coding as far as figuring out what answer would be correct on some of these exam questions. But don't say you don't have any medical background. Everybody does. Debating on self-study or the course versus, yeah, it's confusing. Don't worry, Miss Love Mommy. The modifiers are tricky, but I break them down for you, and I've got some test questions we'll go through. She got exam B. Yeah, feel like I get that one all the time. I feel like I'll get this one all. Yep. And this is her information. Jess, I think so too. You'll probably get B because you've had A and C. So these are her responses. And you remember that Dryco, the I one? She had an ectomy, removal of a tear duct instead of itis, which was the inflamed. Yeah. So the 3 parts of the shoulder. Be sure you know that. She had um, these CPT codes on there, but it was different eyes. You know, E2 is like upper or lower eyelid. I think that's lower eyelid. And so is E4 is a lower eyelid. But this one's tied to maybe the right eye and this one's tied to the left eye. So all you need to know is which eye to decide which CPT code it is. She had questions on miscarriage that were on hers. And I will get the answers down and try to find the exact questions, doing a search through my exam questions from AAPC to see if I can't find the exact examples. I've just been super busy with some lots of things recently in the last 3 or 4 days. I do have some tutoring going on tomorrow and Monday, and I tutored Andrea today after her CPC exam and last night before it. It's just finding the time to get all this stuff going. Here's some more abbreviations that she had, and I know, Jess, you're going to need these. Hello, Midnight. Connor for college, which was a mistake. College isn't for everyone. Yeah, sometimes it isn't. I could have had my CPC about 7 years ago, but I was told I had to have a degree and I spent too much money. Yeah, you don't need a degree at all. Now, companies will, of course, love it if you get the associate's degree to go along with it, but my suggestion is go no course, study guide only, self-study, find a mentor like me that will be glad to share all of the information to you for free, and pass the CPC exam. Get a coding job, work remote from home. Once you get established and got a secure job, you pass your 90 days or whatever, then start enrolling in some community college online courses. Go on and get your associate's degree by paying or just using grant money only, or paying for one class at a time if you've already used up all your grant money, but hopefully you haven't. Just do one course at a time and eventually get your associate's degree, which is 36 credits of electives. Really, the rest of it is the core stuff, but the rest, you could do all kinds of electives, anything you're interested in. But get your associate's degree eventually so you could move on up into administration, because the coders, y'all are going to have so many you need to code a day and blah blah blah, and it's work, it's busy work, and you're going to be coding away. But if you ever want to loosen those ties where you're not tied to a production and you want to work administration and move on up, it's always good to have an associate's degree because it just looks good on paper. But the more time you spend with the company, the more time you can move up, maybe without it even. But if you ever want to move up and transfer and go to other companies, the associate degree is nice. But don't stress yourself out about it. Don't spend a bunch of money for it. Don't do it before you get your CPC for sure. But if you could ever get an associate's degree, it's just an added bonus, and you could move on up and make a lot more money and have a lot more freedom, no production. And like, I go into work 1 day a year. That's it. 1 day a year. The rest of the time it's all remote, and it's been that way for 8 years. So you want to kind of have that flexibility 1 day, and that's what I want for y'all too. Yep, she had exam B for sure. Keep reading, Jess. Are these questions on the CPC. Yes, they are direct quotes from people that just took the CPC exam this weekend. Yeah, HEDIS Auditor is super fun. So in like national, NCQA holds all the HEDIS guidelines, and if you ever wanted to go into medical auditing for payment programs for medical groups, it's a super wonderful job where you just make sure patients get their PAPs and mammograms and colonoscopies. If they're diabetic, they get so many hemoglobin A1Cs a year. It's a wonderful way of not being a production coder. And also, medical groups are scrambling for the extra money that they can get for those programs, and they're investing in staff that know something about HEDIS guidelines. They're super easy. Super easy. It's everybody over 50 needs a colonoscopy and a mammogram. So, it's not rocket science, and you just need to be able to hunt and search for those results that get lost. Either they're doing them with their husband's insurance at the VA center or a health clinic in town that had a mobile service, a health fair, they had it done, or their name and date of birth is spelt wrong. So you're just hunting for records. And they do a big push to have those done every October through March. Right now, every health plan is hiring remote workers to do medical record extractions, where you just look into a bunch of EHRs and try to find missing records. And if you do a good job, I'm sure you could stay on board for the rest of the year and continue on working. It's a wonderful way to make money and work from home for sure. Parts of the eye that are transparent, that humerus oculus we were talking about, very much in there. We've got the OS of the female reproduction system. You remember that? That's in our book. I've already showed y'all. It's cervical OS, a colposcopy, and parts for the opening of the vagina. You've got the vulva there, so you need to make sure you know some of those. Another thing about the muscles and tendons. The sleep study was on her exam, and the ICD10 book. What does this mean? Right there. A few more things. Miss BV, will you be my mentor? Yes. Hang out. Absolutely. I've been doing RA coding for a year. It's my first coding job. I love it. Good job, Brittany's. I have friends here where I live, code for doctors in California, and he flies them from Kentucky to California. Yep, absolutely. I fly into LA for medical conferences once a year too, and I live in Arizona, but I'll take a plane straight to LA and get off, and my conference is usually next door to the airport, so don't mind that at all. What are those people called? The ones looking to EHR for health insurance. What are those people called? Medical records extractors, HEDIS extractors, HEDIS compliance, HEDIS, just Google. Or when you're in one of those job search engines, just type in HEDIS, change your search to remote, and search through any of those descriptors. You'll find a lot of jobs posted that are like director of HEDIS. You don't want to go for that until later on. That's where the associate's degree will come in handy. But there will be a lot of jobs listed that all they want is a high school diploma or equivalent and come look for our medical records to help us find some stuff. So just search for the word HEDIS. You'll definitely be able to find it. Let's look through some more of these. We've got the nursing facility code. She didn't have any moss yet. This is from Andrea from today. She did not know what version of the exam she got because she did hers online. I think that's it. That's it. What does the prone position mean? She had a sleep study. In CPC 10 book, what does it mean? I'm not sure what she meant by that. But there's the diagnosis she wasn't sure about. She didn't have any MOS. She didn't know what the IVA meant, but I think we figured out it was IVC. And here's another definition that she didn't know about. Technical component for that modifier. And type 1 is insulin dependent. Type 2 is just medication drug related as far as pills are concerned with diabetes. Let me bring up my practice questions for tonight. We're going to go over some modifiers. Bring those up. Oops, I'm going to do this one. Yep. Just erasing some data. I was drawing on these with Andrea today. She was going to go to bed and she asked to do some modifiers, and I thought y'all might like them too because it was super helpful. And then I have some E&M ones if y'all want to go over those too, of course. What time is it? Okay, 7:30, good. For being able to mentor you, you're gonna have to keep in touch with me, and it's not just through TikTok. For me to eventually remember who you are and what's going on in your life, for sure, come find me on Messenger under Jen Brewer. Same profile pic as what's in TikToky. If you don't have the app, you can get the app, I think. I don't think you have to get Facebook to have it. But what happens is ask me and I will join you into our coding chat group where we chat every day about codes, what's on them, what's going on in our life, what questions we have per code, what's being shown up on other tests. I also query and run mock exams. Other people send their questions in, want to know why the answer is this, and then I explain it to you in common terms of what's going on so that you can understand it in plain verbiage instead of what's in these coding courses. I try to troubleshoot issues that come up, but that is a super good place to start if you do want mentoring, for sure. And then if you want one-on-one camera and books, sorry about the camera, but I do have a website, Medical Coding by Jen, and right there I do have the calendar up where you can schedule mentoring with me. It's $27, and we go through for a few hours usually. I never ramble on. I never stop talking until you tell me, okay, I got to go pick up my kid. So anyway, we'll go through the books and I'll show you how to prep them, our method of fixing this book so you can find the answers during the exam. The CPC coding exam is open book, but there's a lot of preparation that needs to happen for these books. So you can find out from there at that website. I have screenshots of what it looks like to get this book done and prepped. Usually takes about 60 to 80 hours to prep that book to get it ready for the exam, because you have to fix some numerical sequencing issues, you have to box, you have to highlight, you have to distinguish, and you got to add to your anatomy to be able to pass. All these repeat, YouTube is for the repeat lives. I post these live videos if TikTok records them. Sometimes they have technical issues and do not save them, and I can't retrieve them, but I'll post them right there. And then if you want to get page by page of what's on my books, I have that Etsy up so you can print them out. They're PDFs. You can see exactly what I have written down if it comes to that, if you're in a time crunch and you don't have time for me to teach you how to do this. So that's where that is. But mentoring for free is on Messenger and for TikTok for sure. And then on my medical coding, I have for free an E&M exam, and I have screenshots of how to prep your book, all for free. And then you can buy additional time for me also from Medical Coding by Jen. There's a calendar there. Or you can get copies of the book, and you can do like one section and then copy over what I did and do it yourself to the other sections, which is a good suggestion because there's a lot of key details in them, but definitely can show you how to do it all for free. Absolutely. So for mentoring, that's how you do all that for any of the new ones. For the passing of the CPC exam, I like to teach a process of elimination because you're going to have 150 questions, more than even an RN would get in a nursing program. The NCLEX is only 75 questions long, and you get unlimited time to answer your questions. AAPC gives you 120 seconds per question, and that's it, not including bathroom breaks or anything else. Anytime you stretch, look at the clock, that's taking time away from your questions, and you lose your 120 seconds. Now you're down to 100 seconds. Now you're down to 90. That kind of thing happens. So you got to be fast at finding the answers. The questions are already coded for you. You don't need to go to the index, look up anything like you normally would when they're teaching you how to code in an exam. So for the process of elimination, I like to look at the answers numerically first to see what patterns I see. AAPC has a pattern of giving you two answers that are super close to each other, and then two throwaway answers that are obviously not the right answer. With the two that look similar to each other, the question is full of psychological propaganda that is going to make you think it's the other answer versus the right answer. So I try to take out the human nature in asking or answering questions by doing the process of elimination. So it starts out with looking at the numbers numerically, and I can see this 404 is so different from all the others that it just can't be, hopefully, the right answer. Sometimes this doesn't work, but it's rare. It's about 1 to 2% of the time. But for right now, I'm going to eliminate that one. And I also don't like the 17 because I like the 114 and I like the 113. Also, the fact that this 04 and 05 are super close and they both have the same modifier. Now, I don't really need to know what modifier 59 is for this answer because I've already decided I want to keep B and D. But for kicks and giggles, 59 is a distinct procedure if you're doing two distinct areas on the body. So because I'm trying to teach y'all more on the modifiers, we're going to go up here to our test question. This is not normally how I would teach this question, but I'm teaching it for modifiers. So for modifiers, you would go up here to see if you do have two distinct areas. So right here, I'm skimming the question. I'm not reading from the first thing down. I'm just skimming, but I do have lower lip. And then the other thing I had was a nasal area. So I do have two distinct areas. That means that the nose ain't got nothing to do with the lip, except for it's in the triangle of hell is what I call it. You know, if your kids are touching their nose to their mouth, that's, you know, no zone right there. That's what we call it in our house, is the triangle of death, actually, is what we call it. So don't touch your triangle of death. No touching the nose to the lips, that little triangle area. But technically the lips, the lower lip is a different area than the nasal. Plus, this question is actually doing two distinct procedures. One of them is shaved and one of them is a punch biopsy. So you've got two distinct areas and two distinct instruments actually going to be used. So when you're doing these procedures, the shave biopsy is just kind of pick up the skin a little bit and slide it off with a scalpel, right? When you're doing a punch biopsy, you're going to make the area taut close to the skin, and then you're going to punch a piece of skin out of it into a tube about a ½ inch long, and you're going to fill that tube up full of a depth of an area. You will stop the bleeding in both those areas, possibly differently than the other one. Shave usually requires just a little, it's a Q-tip with some chemical at the end, but it's a dry powdered chemical. It looks like a match, and they come out of the package looking like a dry match, but you don't strike it. You just rub and coil the chemical on the end of that Q-tip to a shave biopsy, and it'll stop any little bleeder you might have, especially on the face or the scalp. These areas tend to bleed a lot. On a punch biopsy, because you're going deeper into the skin, about a ½ inch, and you're filling up a tube, if it starts to bleed quite profusely and you can't just hold pressure and get it to stop bleeding, then you might need to cauterize it with a little electricity to get that going. I'm not sure the chemical will work that deep, and you don't want to put that chemical deep into the skin in normal tissue that's healthy. Surface area skin is fine for that chemical, but you may need to do two different areas, plus you're using two different instruments, the scalpel and the punch. So this definitely is a type of item that would fit with the 59 modifier to begin with. So we definitely want to keep answers that have the modifier. When I'm auditing these numerically, I always find it interesting when I find an answer that's in one of my throwaways that's also in one of my answers. So I would automatically, when I was looking at this, love B anyway. But I won't know until I look up either the 113 or the 114 code, or I could even go to the 04 and the 05. Either one, whichever I wanted. When you go to 11310, you're going to see that in the CPT book that is under the heading of shave biopsy. 11310. I don't like to look at the codes and the code descriptions when I'm dealing with something. I like to look at the major heading associated with that, because your second code, the 114, that I need to know the difference in, is under excision. So the next heading is going to be under excision right here for that 114 area. And we're not doing an excision on this person. All we're doing is a shave and a punch biopsy. So excision wouldn't even enter into the field of a possibility. So then I know I can get rid of D And absolutely the only way any of these will make the right answer will definitely be B, and B is our answer. But hopefully that taught you a little bit more about modifier 59 and a little bit about the process of elimination, but we could have done it a lot faster if we hadn't decided to evaluate the modifier, just so you know. Because we need to get through these test questions super easy, and you do not need to read all those test question words because you will go insane trying to learn those. So for process of elimination, these are all super close. We have the modifier LT for left, which is in all answers. So I really can exclude that and I don't need to know. But we do have 2 with 51 modifier and 2 without. So because I'm trying to teach with modifiers, let's go look with that really quick. Normally I would go straight to the first code since they're all going to be in order and we could learn a little bit about each one and then just look for those key terms in the test question and move on. But because I want to teach you about modifiers, we're going to go here. This is just my cheat sheet for modifiers. You can actually go back to Appendix A if you wanted to. But modifier 51 means multiple procedures. Well, that sort of sounds a lot like 59, right? You had 2 distinct procedures. What's the difference? Why would that be any different from this? You also have another modifier like 25, which is 2 distinct E&M visits for one particular patient for a day, which can all get super confusing. So for 25, you would have a patient coming in for like a well child exam, and they would be coming in for a 99 code. You have these wellness exam codes back near nursing facilities, which I hate that they're way back here, but they're for wellness exams. They are just for coming in for counseling based off age, and they are to do your wellness. Well, if you have a patient coming in for a well person exam, but they slam their fingers out in the car on the way to the doctor's office, and they come in and their fingers are all swollen and upset, but they're only scheduled for their wellness exam, you would charge them another 99213, 99214, an established patient, something that is relatable to being in the office that day so that you could see them for their injured finger. But you would still code the 99 whatever it is for the wellness exam. You would add the modifier 25 to the injury hand, the 99213, 214, whatever it was, based on the injury. If they needed sutures or something like that, I might go for the 213, but most likely just a slamming of the finger would be a 99212. You would add the modifier to this code, and their first code would be that wellness one, wherever it is. Y'all know where that is? What page is that? I really should mark those somewhere where I can always find them. I always have a hard time finding them because they're back there, and I'm already mad at them because they put them in the back of the book, which I don't think they should put it back here where all the critical care and nursing home stuff should be. I don't care numerically where they are. Here's the nursing facility, so I got to be close. The domicile. They really should not be back here. Here's the home services. Yeah. Oh, critical care. There they are. These are the wellness codes. They're on page 47 of the CPT book. These are all the new patients, and they're just divided up by age, and these are the established patients. So one of these codes would be your first code for the day, and then the second code would be your 99213 or 212 with the modifier 25. But what we're dealing with this particular example is the multiple procedures. So that means you're doing 2 And it's almost, I mean, you know, we did a nose and we did a lip for the one for this, but these were skin procedures, like on the surface of the skin. Let's say you've got multiple procedures because you need to put multiple bones back into place. And I think that's what this example is you had two different bones that were out of joint and you needed to manipulate them and put them back into place. So something like that would end up being multiple procedures. It's similar. It really is. And it can get you really confused during the exam. Luckily, a lot of times we're only having to deal with one modifier per exam question. You don't have multiple of the same thing. This one's got 3 different modifiers in it, but hopefully you'll end up with one that it's with or without. A lot of times these CPT codes do say whether to use a modifier or not in the parenthetical notes underneath the codes, but the book is not consistent. It doesn't tell you that all the time. You need to work with the codes and find out whether you can or can't, or network with somebody that knows. So let's skim our question to see if we're going to have 2 different body parts. And the best way to find that in exam questions that are super huge and long like this is just to look at your preoperative note and see we do have 2 bones here. Okay, so that is super helpful to know that we can eliminate C and D right away because we are going to use those modifiers. Now all we need to know is if we're at the 0, 0 or the 05, and they should be super close together. 256 00 256. You got to be a whole lot faster at this turning these pages than I am. I'm still super slow. 25600. So we've got a closed procedure without manipulation and with manipulation. What's an AKA of manipulation? Anybody that's been in my lives before should know some of these AKAs that they like to use in the test question. If I was not going to say manipulation, if I was going to say something else, what would it be? No, the proctor will not need to see your tiny whiteboard the entire time. They do need to see your desk, keyboard, and the books that you're using, but I'm sure some things might get out of view for a little bit, but I don't know how. Mine slept the entire time and was gone by the end, so I don't know. Some people say the proctors told them to be quiet. They can't read out loud. I guess it depends on who you're getting. Hey, Meredith. So the AKA for manipulation is reduce. Reduce or reduction. Something like that. Anyway, we're going to scroll back up, and then the best way to find that to know whether they did that procedure or not is to look at your post-operative findings, what procedure was actually done versus, not the preoperative, but the post offices. So they did do a reduction. So that means that they manipulated those bones, popped them back into place. So with the manipulation, we are going to use the 05 code, and that means that B, of course, is our answer. I can get my mousey down there where it's supposed to be. There we go. And B is our answer. This one that I said that we had 3 different modifiers, we've got 79, 78, and 58. So we'll go to Appendix A for that. or you can turn into your HipPix book or into the front of your CPT book. I think we have them there actually. The 78, 79, and then 58 are in the front of your books. Let's see if we can get the camera to focus. Yep. So 58 is staged. That means the doctors know they're going to go back into surgery and do something. A lot of times these procedures are when you're stretching the skin and you're going to do an implant of some sort. You need to do one surgery to put a balloon in, and then you'll inflate it slowly over the times of weeks, what have you, and then you'll go back, remove the balloon, and then put the implant in another surgery later on down the road. A lot of craniotomies are done that way. You're given a temporary skull place, or you are totally just remove the place of the bone in the skull, and then they will go back later on, and after the swelling of something happens and it reduces down swelling after a couple of months, it will go back and put in a surgery. Swelling can last for a very long time. I have 2 fractured fingers right now, and that happened in July. It's the end of October, and they're still swollen. It's just maddening how soft tissue injuries are very slow to decompress and heal. So it can take a long time, and they need to do a lot of these procedures staged. So 78 is unplanned, and 79 is unrelated. Let's say they're in there doing a surgery to remove a blood clot. Well, they get in there and they actually find something else going on. There was not only the blood clot, but an abscess or a tear in an artery or something else that needs to be fixed. Then they have to do another surgery to repair other things they're seeing that are relatable, sorta. I mean, you wouldn't have had the blood clot if they didn't have the tear in the artery, but they need to go in and fix it. They didn't know the tear was still there. They assumed it had been healed with the blood clot, but no, there's other things going on in there, and they need to fix it. So it'll be totally unrelated to the first one. Unplanned return to the surgery is mostly like complications, things that happen post-op, or something like that needs to happen. So if we're just doing this question based off of the modifiers, and we want to be able to eliminate some questions that are, or answers that are possible answers just based off the modifiers, we know we've got the unplanned, we have the unrelated, and we have the staged. So we're going to go skim this question from the last word up and look to see what we've got going on, to see if we can find a reason why this would be. And I say 1 month. Anytime they say something about a timeline, then we are looking at something that might be status post is also key terms for that. So it looks like she had something done a month ago, and she's status post to come back in and get it redone. Come in to get the removal of the catheter. So they placed a catheter, left it in for a month so it drained, and then she's coming back. So this is definitely, that's not unplanned, right? And it's not unrelated. It's definitely related. So we know we have to keep the staged. Now we just need to know which one is it. So if we go to 32035, and you have to do this all within 120 seconds or less, preferably less. But I'm trying to teach you about the modifiers. 32035 is right here. It's a thoracotomy with rib resection for emphysema. Now, up here in her test question, she does have, look at that word right there, emphysema. So they're trying to trick you. But does this say anything about thoracotomy? Are they doing any kind of rib resection? Heck no, they're only doing a catheter removal. So you know right away that B cannot be the answer, so you don't even need to look up D, but you know that's going to be your answer, right? That's how I would tackle that question. Y'all let me know if this is being helpful, or if y'all are bored or want me to move on and go faster, or if you want me to keep on with the modifiers. Here's our next one. We have several little modifiers. Okay, good. I'm glad. It's hard to tell when I don't have y'all's faces looking at me going, huh? What's going on? I'm bored. I don't know. Okay, good. All right. We've got another one with a distinct procedural or increased procedural. Looks like we've got some 22s. So 22 in the book of the modifiers says it's an increased procedural service. And then 59 we've gone over a little bit. It means distinct procedural service. It means there's going to be multiple procedures. Just based off of what AAPC likes, I bet this is going to be an increase because they have the modifier down twice. Just like their old question up here, it was the one that had the 58 twice, right? They do have patterns. These aren't questions from them. But we're not going to assume. I'm going to teach y'all some stuff, some key words that go along with these modifiers. I think when I do the modifier update for the Etsy, because my notes do say stuff about the modifiers, and I help you. I didn't put down any AKA terms like that one we just did where the key terms for knowing that it was 58 was 1 month, status post. I think those, beside on a list with the modifiers, stuff like that would be helpful too for y'all to have AKAs beside it. So I think I'm going to do that for 2022. Anyway, I'm just thinking out loud here. So for 22, this is a increased procedure. Let's skim the question. Don't be reading nothing. Just look for some key terms that light up at you that might say something about increased time. So right here, third sentence, fourth sentence up, I see extra hour. I see the words time consuming, tedious, not even sure that's spelled right, but tedious, and extensive. All those words, they put in tons of them for you to know that increased procedure, for sure, we're going to eliminate the 59 and we're going to eliminate the one without. We're definitely going to be using one of these two, no matter what. So increased procedure will definitely have the doctor saying stuff about that they had to spend more time in there dealing with whatever was going on. So we're going to go to 44005. We've got under intestines, we've got incision. 44180 is our next one. Is our other code, 180. And we're doing a scope. We're under the heading of scope. And it also says freeing of adhesion. So are we in a scope or are we in an ileus of some sort. Where am I at? Where's my at? Where am I at? 22. For elliptical abdomen incision was made. Yep, nothing about a scope at all. This introileus is an AKA, which I'm going to write in. Come on, pen. Ooh, this is last year's pens. I've got to get some new ones for 2022. I use the fine, ultra fine point of Sharpie. If you're going to write on these pages and not have it bleed all over the place, I've used a million things. Please get these. The highlighters don't really matter, but if you're going to get something time consuming wise, I really like the push buttons ones, because then you don't have to put the caps back on and off, because I'm using all kinds of different colors and stuff. So I like the push button ones, but it don't matter what kind. But this is AKA. Oh, I'll let it dry again. AKA elliptical abdominal incision. Just for next year, I'll add better notes to that particular CPT code. But we were not doing a laparoscopy because it would say something about the scopes and stuff, for sure. And C was our answer for that one, for sure. We got another one. This one has lots of modifiers. We've got the 78 and 79 again. Now we have a 58 and a 76. What are those? So 58 is staged procedure, and 76 is a repeat procedure. And we know what 78 and 79 are: unplanned or unrelated. So we got a lot to remember: staged, repeat, unplanned, or unrelated. And that will give you the answer to the question. You don't even need to look up a CPT code at all if you can figure out the modifier off of this. Staged and related procedure is very different than the 76, which is a repeat procedure. So don't get those confused. We are going to go up to the top. Basically, we're going to skim. It's probably going to end up being at the top whether she was a repeat or not, right? She had surgery approximately a week ago and underwent some sort of exploration, right? They did a resection of her small bowels, leaving her with a hernia. 2 days ago, she started draining from the wound and it became more serious. Now she's being taken back to the operating room. She's being reopened with an incision. So, do you think that that was staged at all? Does that sound like something that was staged? No, not at all. I don't think they wanted to go back and see that woman again, ever, you know? Let's see, we had 58, then we had 76 was the next one. It was a repeat procedure. It's definitely not a repeat because they are going in because she's having drainage from a wound and it's becoming more serious. They got to go find out what's going on. They don't even know what procedure they're going to be doing other than reopening her and cleaning out an infection probably. So it's definitely not going to be your 76 or your 58. So we've got 78 and 79. We've got an unplanned or unrelated. Unrelated would be during the first surgery they were working on. You can't do an unrelated surgery on a different week later. So we're definitely not doing the 79. Her only option is going to be 78, which is her unplanned. They did not plan to return her to the ER at all. Didn't want to do it, but she's back in again. So we're picking A as our answer without even looking at any CPT codes. The modifiers helped you with that answer on that one. Yep, perfect. Good job. Allergic. Good. I'm glad you love the pens. I like, 99-cent store is where I tell people get their highlighters and other pens and stuff. I don't care. And I'd really love reduce of spending. I mean, the AAPC already has you for memberships and exams, and books are 300 and something books yearly, and then the repeat exams and these $1,000 courses. I really want people to save money, but hopefully this is the best time in the world to get these ultrafine Sharpies because we are post school year. Don't ever buy these, in July or August because that's when they are marked up. Now that it's winter, they're all marked back down. All right, let's look at this one. So we've got 50, and then we have times 2. How do you tell the difference? How do you know to do a 50 or a times 2? 50 is bilateral procedure done on the right and the left, right? So something might have been bilateral, or it could have been times 2. How do you tell the difference? A lot of times it's the CPT codes that will tell you the difference. If we do look at these answers, I do like the 2 that start out 45, right? The 15 is obsolete because it's so weird, and then the 20 is so far off, and I don't know of any reason why we would add modifiers to all 3 codes. That just looks weird to begin with, but you never know. This one has it on both too. Don't know. We got A and D, and A is the same code and the second code is the same. The only differences are the modifiers, knowing whether we add that 50 or not. So we can probably go to either or code and see if the parenthetical notes tell us whether to use the 50 or not. Also, if this is an add-on code, with the plus sign in front of it, do you add a modifier to those, or do you multiply them times 2? I've gone over this recently in one of our lives. So 63048. You do it times 2 if it's additional. So you could go scramble to that code real quick because the other one doesn't have the times 2, only this one does. And if you find out that's an additional code and it would need to be a times 2 if it was going to be used, because you wouldn't use the modifier if it was times 2, because if you can do it on the right or left. Anyway, that could eliminate and tell you right away that's the right answer. If that makes any sense. 630. That's how I would tackle the question. 630. 63048. So let's see. 48 is an addition code. You would not add a modifier to that one at all. You would times it by 2 if you were doing multiple things. So that alone will tell you right away that D is your answer. You would not use the modifier on 2 codes anyway, but just knowing your modifiers and some of the rules that go along with some of the symbols in this book will help you a long way in these dissecting these questions for sure. Without even having to look at the question at all, we didn't even have to even look up one word of the question. We just evaluated the CPT code numbers to realize what the answer is and then move on. That's the best way to do this exam, because when you read the questions from beginning to end, they're going to be full of information that is just going to riddle you with doubt and uncertainty to make you think that something's going on that needs other things. And it's just going to make you pick the wrong answer. So we've got, like, you think you got to have 3 codes. You think you got to have the bilateral modifier. If you read this, you wouldn't come up with the same answer. And you'd end up getting the wrong answer, because your answer is D from AAPC. That's what they want you to answer. And that's how I like to teach, is how do they do their exam and what answers do they want from you? Because when you get out in the real world, you're going to be coding totally different. Nothing you learned in a coding course or from the CPC exam is going to be like this. It's all going to be learning on the job, and they've already invented the wheel. They've already done it. There's going to be policies and procedures in place, and they'll just teach you the ways of the force out there, and you'll learn and do it their way at that job. And then if you ever switch and move to another place, yes, I've been watching Star Wars all day today, so I said the force. Not watching, but it's been playing in the background. So you definitely will learn your own way and new ways once you're on the job. And I just want you to, I guarantee you they hire psychologists to put propaganda into those questions to take your human nature and make you pick the wrong answer, because they want your repeat money for repeat testing. Or say, oh, well, you really need the course. Well, the course is not going to help you pass that exam. It is not going to teach you what I've taught you here. Absolutely not. And this right here is going to trip you up, and you're going to overanalyze and put too much thought into what they've got into these questions, and you're going to pick the wrong answer every time based off of their psychology that went into writing these questions. I believe it too. I've seen enough of their questions and the answers that go along with them to go, and I've seen their courses. I've got 4 of their courses on my computer right now, and I've went through those courses thinking, oh my gosh, if I had only this information, there's no way I would ever pass that exam. None whatsoever. And they say that, what did they say? Passing percentage is 80% on their course. I don't believe that one bit. Not even on the course, just the first time people take the CPC exam, 80% pass the first time. I don't believe that either. At all. I see people take 7 times to pass. It's ridiculous. Anyway, I am trying to negate that a little bit, and AAPC doesn't seem to mind. There's that battery I was looking for earlier. I have been a guest educator for AAPC, and they have seen my stuff on Etsy and here on my lives and YouTube. And hopefully I'll be able to teach a course through them one of these days. I've been asked. I'm waiting on the info for that, but that would be fun. Except for I'd totally rewrite their program, make them do it a different way, but we'll see. We'll see what I get handed. But hopefully that helped you out a little bit with some of these modifiers. I will be live again on Monday for sure. I'm going to try to do tomorrow. I think my boys are going to be gone tomorrow, all of them all day. So I could probably do an earlier one too if anybody's interested in the different hours on a Sunday. So y'all just let me know in chat. Be sure and find me on Messenger if you want to be part of our Messenger group. You can look at my website here if you want to see how to prep your book like I have it, and all my notes that go along with the book are here on Etsy. But my repeat lives, including tonight's live, is going to be posted on YouTube at Coding by Jen. And yes, Andrea and our other lady, oh my gosh, I'll know her when I see her name here. It's hard because Fawn, yeah, maybe, I don't remember who it was. I do know who it was. I know when I see her. Sending me, because sometimes the emails and the names are all different because the TikTok names are different, which is all fine and dandy. Don't take the course. Just get you a study guide and learn from that, by the way. Libra, that was it. Miss Libra, she is awesome. She's the one that sent us some of that information in a Word document. It's very thorough, absolutely wonderful. Thank you all for the information that's on the exams. I'm going to go through them and put the answers in and get you a better detailed information on those. We'll also have Andrea's more notes from her tomorrow on her exam and how it goes and things that she thought she needed to find out where they were. So she'll be talking to me tomorrow, and just keep gathering information. Anybody else that's going to be taking it next week, let me know. If there's anything at all I can do for you, I'm happy to help out next week. If you're going to be taking the CPC exam, I know a ton of people are taking it around starting November 3rd and the 13th. Tons of you guys. So let me know what we can do to help. And I have tutoring tomorrow and Monday, but it's just one person each day. So there's plenty of room for other help if anybody needs it. I'm here. Whoops. Just say I moved in my test back to November 8th and 9th. Heather C. Okay, I'll put you down, Heather. Good job. No worries. And see, we're gathering more information too. So that really helps Allergic, because that gets you more information now that we've got Libra's information, Andrea's information, and some other people's. We've got more information than you would have had if you took it then. So that's wonderful. I think that's great. Anybody that can. Miss Heather has moved hers to the 8th and the 9th. I love splitting it up between 2 days. That's great. All right, and don't forget about the ADA that is available out there. You could get extra time and bathroom breaks for at home. Are you kidding? I'd be in that bathroom Googling. Google. I'm an awful person, but I would so Google something just to pass, because it's unfair the way this exam is set up with the timing. It's already coded for you. It's not a good representation of what a coder you are at all. It's just madness what the exam is, because data is coming from all directions, and you've got to pick up the right answer in 90 seconds. And it's a lot of questions, 150. It's more than a RN gets in a nursing exam. I'm sure it's more than the doctor's NCLEX then too. It's crazy, insane, but yet you're supposed to know everything a doctor knows, and you can't carry around a medical dictionary. So it is insane. Insanity. Yes, you get time to prep your book. Absolutely. Very good. Okay, guys. Hey, Miss Mel, I'm fixing to post this live on YouTube. So if you missed out on anything, go to YouTube and I'll have it there within the next 15 minutes. I will see y'all tomorrow. I don't know. It'll be in the afternoon. Hopefully it won't be like at 6:30 at night. Hopefully we can do one a little earlier. I just have to get off of a tutoring session tomorrow afternoon. So when we get through tutoring one other person, then I'll hop on a live and do a live tomorrow. But definitely there'll be a live on Monday night, same time, 6:30, Arizona time zone, and I will see y'all then. Be sure and message or TikTok me any questions y'all have or things y'all want to cover. See y'all later. Should you enroll in an AAPC course? No. I think you should just get you a study guide from AAPC. Study this word for word. Follow me. Prep your book the way I'll teach you how. Practice the process of elimination with your test questions, and get that down to where you can do this in 90 seconds or less with each question, and you can pass the exam. Absolutely. That's what I think you should do. Study guide is better than any course, and it's the exact same information that's in that $3,000 course. And the study guide has practice questions in it, and it's stocked full of the information that you need to have. So just get a study guide. Previous years is fine. Get an old copy from somewhere. Don't buy anything new. Don't spend all that money. Study guide, self-study, prep your book, learn the process of elimination, and you can pass too. I'll see y'all tomorrow.